back to Homeschool Help for Parents. I am Genelle Anderson, and we are talking about Saxon math again today. I love math. You might not hear that from any homeschool moms, but let me tell you something. You don't love what you don't know, and that's all there is to it. You just didn't have a good math teacher, and that's why you don't love it. And that's a very profound thing for you to think about, because your attitude about math, you are now the math teacher for your children, and your attitude about math is going to be contagious to your kids. So I really encourage you, before we even jump into math today, attitude. You just say, you know what? I don't know what we're doing today, but we're going to learn it together. We're going to sit down, we're going to learn this together, because it is knowable, it is learnable, and the more you know it, the more you love it. Galileo, the astronomer, said that all of nature is written in the language of mathematics. And so the more you learn, the more math you know, the more you can discover about the world around you, and it's fascinating. So parents, just say, all right, let's do it. I don't know what we're doing, you don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna learn it together. And these Saxon homeschool curriculums lead you through it as though you know nothing. They're actually scripted in the early years, which is fantastic. It has it in bold, what the parent says, and then what the kid should say. And it leads you through every mathematical concept step by step. And that is why I love Saxon. It looks huge because it's scripted. It has what you need to say. So I have a third grader right now, and let's just jump right in. Let's just look at the third grade curriculum. How do we do this? It's so enormous. So I'm just gonna tell you what I do. So I love this little meeting book. I do the meeting book portion of the lesson. They have a little time where they have you take the temperature. We just do a thermometer app on my phone, which I know is not very authentic, but it works just fine if you're in a rush. So I love the meeting book portion. There's a book of worksheets. You get 2 of these in the third grade curriculum. And what I do is I give my child the worksheet practice sheet for the day with their morning stack. So their morning stack is handwriting and daily grams and a spelling sheet and one of these. So this is not part of math. They just do it separate. Their free time stack they do whenever they want, and they get it done anytime. So I don't have the worksheets part of math time, because otherwise that would get too long. That's one little tip. Tip number 2 for conquering third grade math is these worksheets. So you have a daily worksheet, and the curriculum tells you to do side A in the morning and side B in the afternoon. Nobody's doing math twice a day. Nobody, okay? I mean, unless you're passionate about math and the kids are passionate about math, go for it. But I just have them do one side, and then I toss it. Okay, I have friends who are very fastidious and brilliant, and they do one side and then they keep the other blank side for the summertime. And they have their kids just do one of the backs every now and again through the summer. So they keep them for that, which is brilliant. I love that if you want to stay on top of things through the summer. Otherwise, just do one side, the worksheet at a separate time. Don't do it with the curriculum time. And then the big chunker here, this big chunker, you can see the bolded part is what you say. We're talking about drawing line graphs here. And you actually just read it. A few days ago, you rounded temperatures from capital cities around the US to the nearest 10 degrees. It is brilliant. That's why it's huge. But those are my tips for the early years. Just separate the worksheets, only do one side. And I don't, in the beginning of every lesson, they ask you to do a lot of skip counting. They have you skip count the 7s. They have you skip count the 100s forward and backward. Skip count the 5s forward and backward. Say the even numbers, say the odd numbers. So it's a lot of verbal math to get them really familiar with numbers, to make them like old friends for them. So this really is beautiful. I do this with my third grader once a week. So I don't do it every single day, the verbal, just once a week. And sometimes twice if I know they're really struggling. We're like, you know what, let's try those odd numbers again. So while it's time consuming, it really lays a solid foundation of just loving numbers and having them be a friend instead of something frustrating in their lives. And then, like I said, the temperature just do on my app. The questions about the weeks and the months and the dates and all this like prep stuff and the meeting strips, I don't do. I just don't do it. You can if you want. I did it with my firstborn, not second and third. Just how much time do you have, and how much strength and tenacity does your student have to get through a lesson? Because if you did everything, these Saxon lessons could go hour, 2 hours, and I firmly believe until they're 10, you want to try to keep the lessons to 20 minutes. If that means skipping a few problems, that's fine, but I really, until they're 10, around 20 minutes, okay? Then they're gonna get older. And I have an 11-year-old now, and she is in the 6-5 curriculum. When you get to the 6-5 curriculum, they are still teaching you as though you don't know anything, which is so nice. They give you these beautiful lessons that take you step by step how to do the new concept. There are no daily worksheets as far as the chapter problems. They just have practice worksheets. And again, I give these to my daughter with her morning stack. She has a morning stack of daily grams, which is English grammar, cursive, and then she gets a math sheet. Again, this is not done with math. I give it to her at a different time of day. So this 6-5 curriculum comes with that. And then you need to just use a separate notebook for this curriculum. So you do your problems right on here. And I'll show you on here what the problems look like. And my tip for level 6-5 is that I only have them do the evens or the odds. I let them pick. I say, do you want to do evens today or odds? Because they give you about 4 problems for every concept. So here, look at 5, 6, 7, and 8. They're all the same type of problem. So by having them do evens or odds, they get 2 of them. And I think that has been plenty. You know, I have a 3rd grader, a 6th grader, and a 9th grader. And I followed this method for all of them since they were in kindergarten. And it's been plenty. It's worked beautifully. And they all love math. And they all feel comfortable with math by going through these Saxon programs. Just doing evens or odds, just doing the front of the sheet and not the back. It works. That's all I need to do. You don't need to do the whole shebang to be successful. All right, so then the 9th grader, let's take a look at that curriculum. My tips for that are very similar. So my 9th grader is in the Algebra 1 curriculum. Same thing, you're gonna need a notebook to do your problems in. You do your problems right in the notebook. And then your answer key. You have a lovely answer key because yes, things are getting harder. You might not be able to figure out every single problem with your student when they have a question. So you have your answer key with the algebra program, and then I'll just show you one of the lessons here. It's not as exciting, right? It's not like pictures and excitement, but you know, work is work, right? It's clear. It's very clear, step by step, how to do these problems. And then they give you lots of practice problems. And again, I have my son just do the evens or the odds. You can kind of see that there, the problems. And I'll zoom in on some of these here in a minute. But that's been plenty to do the evens or odds and to really nail the concepts. I do have them do every single problem in the practice. So you'll learn a new concept and then they give you 6 or 7 practice problems. We do all of those to really nail the new concept, and then we'll go through and just do evens or odds. All right, so those are just a few tips for 3rd, 6th, and 9th grade, how we do it, how we scale back a little bit. You need to tailor math to what works for you and your family and your child. I highly recommend, if you are doing a curriculum that you love, just stay with it. Because like I said, your attitude is contagious. So whatever math curriculum you're doing, just stick with it. You don't have to do Saxon. I do Saxon because I love it and it gives me a good attitude, And in turn, my kids have a good attitude about math. So stick with your curriculum. Don't jump around, right? Don't jump around. One benefit of Saxon is that if you don't finish the whole book each school year, Saxon does a good chunk of review in the beginning of the next book. So I'd say they do a good 25 to 30 lessons of review in the next book. So you're not a slave to finishing the book every year. I don't know, if you were public schooled, you can remember we never finished the book, ever, right? So don't put that on yourself as something like, I have to get every single page. You know, work hard, do your math every day. But life happens, right? Life comes up. And in the public schools and the modern schools, even the private schools, they're jumping around, they're skipping units, they're not finishing books. But just the consistency of math every day that you possibly can is the best thing for your kids. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful to bite off another chunk of the big Saxon mountain that is out there. So I hope it was helpful. Leave any questions below, and I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.